Yeah, obviously wanted to get that taste out of our mouths for sure. But yeah, started fast because the guys were just locked in. You know, we came out, kind of hair on fire mentality. Everybody was locked into what the plan was.
Recently, Tom Brady just went off on Baker Mayfield following his successor's appearance on a podcast called Casa de Club. After speaking about how it's been to replace Brady with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it appears that Mayfield may have ruffled some feathers, and the GOAT did not take Baker's comments well. Today, we'll take a deep dive in exactly what Mayfield said in his podcast appearance, what Brady said in response, how Tom's stint in Tampa Bay played out, and finally, breaking down if they're in good hands with Baker under center. About 2 weeks ago, Mayfield made an appearance on the podcast Casa de Club. This was a very interesting interview in which they covered topics ranging from Baker being a walk-on to start his collegiate career all the way through his career revival with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, while we will never know if he knew some of those comments would get him in some hot water and place a target on his back, it's clear that one of the segments from this interview got under Brady's skin. Early on in the podcast, he was asked about how it was coming into Tampa Bay on a one-year prove-it deal. He was quoted as saying, front office guys and Coach Bowles, we're all just saying just be yourself. That's all we want you to be. The building was a little bit different with Tom in there. Playing-wise, Tom's different. He had everyone dialed in, high-strung environment. So I think everyone was pretty stressed out, and everyone was expecting the Bucs to not be good last year, so they wanted me to come in, be myself, and bring the joy back to football a little bit for guys that weren't having as much fun, and just continue to raise the competition levels. So they just asked me to be myself, and as a player, you can't really ask for much more than that. While these comments definitely raised some eyebrows, he was then asked what it was like to replace Brady, to which he said, "You hear a lot of good stories. Obviously, they won a lot of games, but it's just different. We have very different personalities, so I was just trying to be myself, not trying to wear his shoes or do any of that, and you can't do that. He made it to the level that he did by being himself and in his own way, and I think everybody else did as well, so you just gotta do it your own way." It appeared as if nothing that Baker said was really controversial enough to warrant a response from Brady. However, after nearly 2 weeks following the podcast going live, the GOAT finally sounded off on the topic, and it's clear that he was not enthused. During his broadcast of the Bucs game against the Philadelphia Eagles on Fox Sports, Brady said, "I was gonna say, I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This was not a daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was gonna go to Disneyland with my kids. There's a way to approach this game, and that's with the right mindset and trying to push each other outside of our comfort zone, and great teammates do that. You come in, I have someone like Gronkowski, I have someone like Evans. There's high expectations for us. We have to make sure that we go out there and deliver." It's clear that despite the success that Tampa Bay saw, the way that Brady was leading the team did not mesh well with some of his teammates. However, let's take a look a few years back and see how the team performed when under the stress of Super Bowl expectations. Heading into the 2020 season, Brady shocked the NFL world, leaving the New England Patriots where he had spent the past 20 years of his career, going from a no-name backup quarterback to the greatest to ever play the game. He and Bill Belichick had established themselves as the best quarterback head coaching duo of all time, winning an astounding 6 rings together. However, at 43 years old, Brady decided that it was time for him to leave the team and prove that he did not need Bill to win at the highest level. In his first year with the team, he did just that. The Buccaneers already had a very solid array of weapons waiting for Tom, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at the wide receiver position. Along with this, Brady brought some weapons of his own in Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Brown. Even with Tampa Bay coming into the season with a star-studded roster, no one could have seen what the team had in store for the league in only their first season together. There were some obvious growing pains early on in the season as everyone was working to gain on-the-field chemistry. However, Brady's championship standard and the high-pressure environment that comes with him whipped everyone into shape quickly. They finished the regular season with a very respectable 11-5 record, and Brady had one of the strongest passing seasons of his entire career, throwing for 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. In the wildcard round, they took down the Washington football team by a final score of 31-23. They then took on Drew Brees and the Saints in the divisional round. Despite the ages of these two quarterbacks in this matchup, anytime the two all-time greats face off, it's always a sight to see. They did not disappoint, but when things were all said and done, Brady and the Bucs came out on top 30-20. Waiting for them in the NFC Championship was another all-time great in Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Once again, Tom led his team to another victory, this time by a final score of 31-26. This punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, taking on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This was hyped up as a game in which the torch was finally going to be passed from Brady to Mahomes, and his era as the greatest in the league was finally gonna kick off. But Brady had other plans. At the age of 43, he led his team to an absolute blowout, taking the game 31-9. Tom had a strong showing, finishing the contest with 201 yards and 3 touchdowns, taking home the Super Bowl MVP. After this incredible run in only their first season, it appeared like they could go back-to-back after an elite regular season. Even though he was nearing his mid-40s, Tom still threw for 5,316 yards and 43 touchdowns, while completing 485 passes on 719 attempts, leading the league in all 4 metrics. This earned him his final Pro Bowl appearance. Along with this, he made the All-Pro second team and came in second in the MVP voting. Their Super Bowl dreams were cut short in the divisional round, falling to the eventual Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams by a final score of 30-27. Following this loss, Brady retired. However, it did not take long before he rescinded his retirement and chose to play just one more year. At 45 years old, Brady once again led the league with 490 completions on 733 attempts. On these attempts, he threw for 4,694 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. However, it didn't lead to much team success, finishing the season with an 8-9 record. They still made the postseason, but were sent home in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys. Under Brady, the Bucs saw their second Super Bowl win in franchise history. While he ran a tight ship that his teammates obviously were not all fans of, you cannot argue with the results that this leadership style yielded. Baker definitely had a point with his comments, but at the same time, so did Tom. While it cannot be fun being under constant pressure and expected to maintain a certain level of excellence at all times, Brady got the best out of his teammates and led them to glory. However, this is not to say that Mayfield's leadership style cannot also be successful. No one expected the Buccaneers to be much following Brady's retirement. However, Mayfield picked up right where Tom left off, and the Bucs did not miss a beat. While he still has a ways to go before he achieves all that Brady did with the Bucs, both individually and in terms of team success, Baker has made Tampa Bay a perennial playoff contender. Last season, he led the Bucs to a huge upset win over the Philadelphia Eagles in the wildcard round before they were sent packing in the divisional round by the Detroit Lions. In the 2024 season, Baker and the Bucs are off to a hot start and look like they could be a real threat. Time will tell if the laid-back style of Mayfield will be able to lead the team to the same success they saw with Brady. However, this little back and forth between the two quarterbacks made for an interesting story to talk about during a blowout win from the Bucs over the Eagles.